Hi guys, how are you doing today? In today's video, I'm gonna talk about how I could, in parentheses, not learn Dutch. First of all, why do I say in parentheses? Because of course I know some Dutch. My level of Dutch I think is right now B2, I'm not sure. Last time I took the test was like 4 years ago, I think, and I was then B1 level, so I should be at least B2, I think, right now, which is not a bad level to be at, I think. I can use Dutch in my daily life to a certain extent. I don't use it with my friends, for instance, but in the work environment I have to use some Dutch. I will explain further in a bit. But then again, I've been living in Holland for 9.5 years, so I should be extremely fluent by now. Of course, I know that myself as well. So that's why I decided to make this video to explain why it is, or why it was difficult for me at least, to learn Dutch. So first of all, I will start with the question, is Dutch a difficult language to learn? And to be able to answer this question, you have to, this depends on each person, of course. So you have to ask yourself, which languages do I speak, first of all? But this is an English speaking video, so I assume you guys all speak English. So I will explain for English speakers if it's a difficult language to learn. Actually, it is not. There's a ranking called language difficulty ranking, and there are 5 levels in this ranking. And actually for an English speaker, Dutch is in level 1, which means it's one of the easiest languages to learn. And just to give an example, Turkish is, for instance, in level 4, which means that it's a very difficult language to learn. And in level 5, there are languages like Mandarin, Cantonese, Japanese, Korean, and Arabic. I'm not sure how scientific this research is. I'm not a linguist myself. I studied actually English language and literature at university, so I have a BA level in that. But I'm not in any position to make decisions on these cases. But when I read this study, it made a lot of sense to me, because actually if you think about it, Dutch and English are quite similar languages. I mean, at the end of the day, they're both Germanic languages. So if you speak any other Germanic language, like for instance, if you speak German, it's going to be a lot easier for you to learn Dutch. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about the G sound, the G sound in Dutch. And they say, oh, Dutch is so difficult to speak because there's the G sound in it. Believe me, the G sound can be the least of your worries if you want to speak Dutch. Because actually also in the south of the Netherlands, they don't use the G sound, so they use the soft G. So if you speak without that sound, but you're fluent, you're not going to have any problems. And really, that's really one of your least worries. And let me briefly explain to you what I did to reach the level that I'm at right now. So when I first came to the Netherlands, I was doing my master's degree. And at that point, I decided to start learning Dutch already. So I did the first 2 levels at the Vrije Universiteit, the Free University of Amsterdam, which is actually quite good, by the way, for language learning. And then for a long time, I didn't do anything. And after that, when I started working at the company that I work for right now, which was like almost, I think, 5 years after I arrived in the Netherlands, I decided to take the language exam for the citizenship. So also just to briefly explain to you, there are 3 levels of exams you can take for the Dutch citizenship. And there is the inburgeringsexamen, which is the most common one. And then there is the NT2, which is NT2, Nederlands als tweede taal, it's called. So Dutch as a second language, you can translate as. And then there's NT2, which is the more difficult version of the Dutch as a second language exam. So then I decided to take the second exam, which is actually like a lot more difficult than the inburgeringsexamen. But the reason why I decided to take this exam was because when I started working for this company, they actually paid for me to take Dutch lessons again. So I did another level at the Vrije Universiteit again. So I guess I just wanted to like prove to myself and also maybe to my company a bit that I was good at Dutch and I could use it probably like in my work environment. So I took the NT2 exam and I passed it at one go. And why I wanted to prove to my company, I'm saying, because the thing is I work for an international company, but it is such a big company that In the Netherlands, as a territory, we are quite a big territory, so there's a big Dutch culture actually, and it's such a big company again that within the territory, so within the Netherlands, there's even like different cultures within departments. So I work in the marketing department, and actually really in my department, at the time when I started working there, I think I was really the only person that didn't speak Dutch. I should say fluently. So then what happened when I started working there? People started to talk to me in Dutch, like from really day one. And some colleagues were really nice about it, like they didn't push me at all. But some colleagues really refused to talk to me in English. But they saw after some time that I was really struggling, I wasn't enough. And for me, the transition was really like bam. So I was working for an American company before. I almost really like didn't hear Dutch almost at all in my daily life. So it was really difficult for me in the beginning. So slowly like people started to switch to English with me, and they were like being really nice about it. But the thing is, my manager asked me, so what do you want to do? Do you want to learn Dutch, and do you want to really achieve this as a goal? And I said, yes, I want to learn Dutch. I'm going to become a Dutch citizen, which I did eventually. But so right now what is happening is that like all the department meetings are in Dutch, and they don't switch, of course, for me. And a lot of like more crowded meetings are in Dutch. But when people like speak one-on-one to me, I should say most people, they speak in English, but some people just speak in Dutch. And actually like for the last couple of months, I'm starting to feel like a lot more comfortable with my Dutch. So I just tell people, okay, do you know what? Nederlands is prima. Like Dutch is fine. Just continue speaking in Dutch to me. So why did I explain all of this? Just for you to understand like where I'm coming from, how my Dutch is, and why I made this video. And actually, let's come to the most important part of this video. Why is Dutch a difficult language to learn? Why is it so similar to English, yet so difficult to learn? And a lot of people living in this country, a lot of expats, a lot of foreigners, they live, like I know people that have been living, I mean myself, almost 10 years, 15, 20 years, and some people really don't even speak a word of Dutch. And why is that? And for this one, I have to blame and at the same time really thank Dutch people. The thing is, Dutch people speak excellent English. They're one of the like best English speaking countries outside of the like native English speaking countries. And that doesn't really make it easier for foreigners that come to this country. Because what happens is that you get extremely comfortable speaking that lovely English language of yours, and you like never actually feel the need to learn Dutch. And it gets really tricky because after a couple of years you realize, oh wait, I've been living in Holland for all these years, and actually Dutch is the real language of this country, and actually I really have to learn Dutch in order to really become part of this country, in order to really adapt and to learn the culture and what's happening around you, etc. Then you start to fall into this paradox that, you know, like whatever you do, your Dutch, I mean, it's really difficult to get your Dutch up to the level that your Dutch will be like better than people's English. So when people hear you like struggling in Dutch, they just easily switch to English, and this is really nice of Dutch people, I think. And at the same time, I think like they kind of want to show off because, you know, their English is so good, but it gets like frustrating for some people. So at the same time, like it's really nice that they are trying for you, but on the other hand, it's not that nice that you cannot try yourself. And by saying that, like for instance, what I experienced was at work when people like just started speaking in Dutch to me. I mean, to me that was like a really harsh transition. So what you actually really need is like just to speak Dutch on the street, like at the supermarket, when you're doing your groceries, etc. And to start like really slowly, like step by step. And what happens is when people hear your accent, they switch to English. I mean, it's not a problem for them to do that. And you know that it's going to be a much better quality conversation if you do that in English than in Dutch. So they just switch for you. And then the people that know that you want to learn Dutch, you're like trying to learn Dutch, they speak in Dutch with you, but then that conversation is a much deeper conversation than like buying 2 kilograms of apple at the supermarket. So that's the paradox like I was constantly having, because I really wanted to learn Dutch, but at the same time, like the people I wanted to talk with were like just switching to English with me, and the people that I actually like would like them to take it easier with me were talking to me in Dutch. So that became difficult for me, but thank God, like now I actually don't have that many problems with it. I find it a lot easier to understand Dutch. And sometimes, you know, like with my colleagues or with other people, when I don't find the word, I just like say it in English. And because Dutch and English are such similar languages that like the syntax of the sentence is like almost the same. I mean, there are some differences. If you just like switch a word with an English word, the sentence still makes sense. I mean, you cannot do that, for instance, with Turkish and English. I mean, the syntax and how the language works is so different in Turkish, is that there's no way like you can switch, like you can just place a word and then it doesn't sound funny or something. I mean, there are some nouns, of course, you can use, but still, it's very like rare that you can do that. And talking about like my personal story here, I mean, for a long time I really didn't know, like I really didn't feel like I really belonged in this country, because of a lot of reasons I explained also in my other videos, like because of all the difficulties I had with my residence permits, you know, like with my job situation. You know, first I was a freelancer, I was trying to find a job, and it was really difficult for me to find a job. So for a long time actually, like I couldn't say, okay, this is home for me, I'm staying in this country, so I'm gonna learn Dutch. And let's be honest, I mean, Dutch is not really a language that you can just use in like a lot of countries in the world. There are not many people speaking this language. So it doesn't make a lot of sense like to put in the time and effort, especially like if you don't really feel the urge in your daily life to learn it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to learn it if you're gonna leave like in a couple of years. And for me, again, personally, like I'm such a perfectionist in a lot of things that I do. I mean, if I don't do something well enough to say, okay, I'm just gonna do this from now on, like I prefer not to do it. So with Dutch as well, like I was actually like quite shy, like speaking Dutch. And I had that problem also with English, but with English I had like such an intensive education when I was first learning it, that, you know, I didn't have this for a long time. But with Dutch, I've been like for a long time at this level, you know, should I speak it, should I not, you know, like I just felt really shy with it. So that's my personal problem, that's something I need to overcome. But I'm just saying, like, don't do that. I mean, everybody says that, just do it, you know, we will help you. And I was always like kind of scared, I guess, I don't know, yeah. So I just didn't do it. But if you can, just please just do it. And one last thing to mention, I've seen a lot of people like that couldn't speak English very well that came to this country, and they learned Dutch a lot faster than I did. Like for instance, there was a Turkish guy in my class when I was learning Dutch, and he had been in the country for a lot shorter than I had, but his Dutch was so much better than mine, and he had some problems because like he just learned it on the street. He couldn't write it and he didn't know like how the spelling worked, but his Dutch was so much better. And I was thinking like, how did he do that? But the thing is, he couldn't speak any English, so what is he gonna do? Of course, he has to like push himself. He has to learn Dutch to be able to even work. So if I can give you some advice, don't listen to people. Dutch is not a difficult language to learn. I mean, of course, there are a lot of difficulties in it, but which language doesn't? I mean, go try to speak Chinese or learn Korean. So you're gonna really understand then that Dutch is not a very difficult language to learn. And surround yourself by Dutch people. And if you're working for an international company, really try to find some Dutch friends. And try to get into the culture. And by culture, I mean like Netflix and stuff, not really culture. But, you know, like try to watch some series in Dutch. And this is something I've been doing like for the last year, I think, like thanks to Corona. But I wish I had done it before, because that really helped me, like, you know, get even more used to the language and learn some slang, etc. So it's really helpful. And a tip that I can give to you, as someone that was teaching English to a lot of students back when I was in Turkey, and this is something that I always told my students as well. What I did when I was learning English, and what I do now in Dutch as well, is that like I start to really think in this language. So with English, I was always like, when you just talk to yourself, like in your head, like now I sound a bit schizophrenic, but you know what I mean. So just try to like do that in the language that you're trying to learn. So when I was learning English, like I was doing this all the time. Like for instance, when, I don't know, when my mom said something to me, I was always like trying to translate that into English. And I realized, okay, I don't know this word, and I would just like look it up. So now I'm doing that in Dutch as well. So I just try to, you know, like think of the sentences in my head in Dutch, and then I realize, hey, I don't know this word. Then I look it up, and I look it up, and then, you know, it comes up like 3, 4, 5 times, and then you learn the word. So that's how languages are learned actually. So you can really do that, I think, like without the need of even someone. You can do it on your own. I mean, it's Corona. What else are you gonna do? You're on your own at your place. You just speak to yourself, just casually, you know. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. That was it for today. And please do share your experiences with Dutch. And if you have any questions on how to learn the language, like what kind of language schools there are, etc. I mean, I didn't go into all those details in this video, but if you have those questions, please ask them below in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer. So feel free to ask me, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks guys, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.